I just think the more you're around people, like human beings are so beautifully wonderful and different, but we're all the same. And when you work in an environment like a nightclub, or you work in a sports environment, or you work in a restaurant environment, you're meeting so many different walks of people. And it allows you to understand that you can't treat everybody the same. You need to treat people differently. Different people learn differently. They hear differently. They talk differently based on gender, based on where they're from in the world, based on age, based on all these things. And that is true diversity. So if you have a really diverse company with people from all walks of life, we talk about diversity in today's world in a very narrow scope. But, people who have been in different parts of the world, or have been through war-torn, ravaged countries, or extreme poverty, or they have different diversity experience or diversity of thought than others. And I like to look at diversity across the entire spectrum of possibilities. And when you do and open up your mind and your heart to that, you can learn a lot about others, which means you'll learn a lot about yourself.
How did you learn to open your mind to diversity, coming from Boston to, now where you are? Because there's still people out there, even to this day, that are so narrow-minded, regardless of the big cities that they live in or the companies that they're running. So were there any specific lessons that you've learned or mistakes that you've made that kind of kept your eyes open to being so welcoming to diversity?
Do you know that no one has ever asked me that question in my life? Because I don't feel like I'm open to diversity. I feel like I'm me. So I would say both my parents were, I talked to you about my dad. I mean, this dude was, when I say never said a bad word about anybody, I grew up in such a beautiful way where everyone was welcome at our home. And I didn't know that they weren't really my aunts or uncles. Everybody was an aunt or an uncle. That was very culturally a thing. I didn't know that it didn't even occur to me if they were black or white or Spanish or Asian or something like that. They were just my aunt or uncle, that type of thing. And then I think basketball is a great equalizer. Sports in general make you realize, you're just a team and you're part of a team. To answer your question, why people aren't that way, I think people who take issue with differences. Is that a good way to say it, Ginny? I think they probably, regardless of where they grew up, they were in a narrow scope. So they might have grown up in a diverse city, but the neighborhood or the street or the home they lived in was very focused on one thing. And unfortunately, that exists all over the world and has for thousands of years. People feel uncomfortable outside their village or their street or their neighborhood or what they know. So I just had a very early days welcoming upbringing. I didn't realize that, I was born in 1967. In 1974 or 75, when I was 7 or 8 years old, I didn't know about diversity. I just knew about folks, knew about people. So it wasn't hard for me to go. And I should say that doesn't mean I don't see the differences in everybody. I just recognize and embrace that we're all different.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful, because what I'm hearing from you is that people are people. Treat them with respect, and it's almost like you don't see the diversity because everyone's similar in the aspect of we're all humans, different in terms of who we actually are.
Yeah, but see, to me, that goes back to my faith, that I'm called to I don't know if you're a woman of faith, Jenny, and we can't talk about this stuff on podcasts, but if you dig into where your heart is from and what we're called to be, it's actually pretty simple. It's not that complicated. Now, but I get to have feelings too. I'm part of the population. I get to have views, and I get to have differences, and I get to be different. And it hurts me, it pains me that people are so focused on our differences when we should be embracing our similarities. It literally pains me. Absolutely. I mean, I travel all over the world, and I see people who are from very different upbringings than me, who are the most loving, devout, caring people you could imagine on the planet, welcome me into their homes. But our society, unfortunately, right now is that of divisiveness, and that I don't dig.
Yeah, from my perspective, it just kind of feels like society and politicians, they just kind of, it's almost like they purposely try to pick on what's like really different about different sectors of groups to create just entice more emotions out of people. Like, hey, we're different, and this is how we're doing it better. And if you want to, if you want to change the world, you have to be this way, or we have to hate against these types of people. It's really sad. It's sad what's happening when you open up the media, social media particularly. To me, it feels like it's used to divide people. Yeah, we were going a little off topic, but yeah, it kind of, to me, it just feels
But
like
are
there's a
we?
lot of,
Are we? I mean, we're going. So basically, where you just went, and feel free to edit this however you want. But where you just went, Ginny, is where 99.9% of all human beings are. We don't like what we're feeling. We don't like what we're seeing, and we just want to love one another. We just want to. And I know I sound like a hippie, but I'm not a hippie. But I believe from the bottom of my heart in the human condition. I believe that good always, 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 the light wins out. Always. And if I'm wrong,
absolutely.
I'm going to keep going.
Absolutely. And I'm definitely on that same wavelength as you. I think the highest frequency that you can operate from is a place of love. And the only thing higher than that, I think, is authenticity. Yeah, that was the study. It's love and then authenticity. It's hard. I think just going off topic, it's hard because I think I want to also operate from that place. I want to teach my team to operate from that place. And what you see in media and what you hear around you all the time is just so much negativity and fear that, it distracts you from being that fully authentic human, which is a place of operating from love and good.
Yeah, and I think if somebody sees this, they'll probably be like, "Wow, he's so delusional." No, there's a whole other side to me, Jenny. When you grow up the way that I did, like, we can fight too. What I'm saying is, I try to lead with these things. I try to be, those closest to me have seen. It's not William Vincent Powers, CEO. They've seen Billy Powers, and that's a very different, scared 17-year-old guy.